All right, let's take it up to Vietnam. Many of you guys know this. What was the resolution that brought about the escalation of that war? Yeah, there it is, the Tonkin Gulf Resolution. It was based on an alleged attack on U.S. destroyers on the night of August the 4th, 1964, in the Gulf of Tonkin off of Vietnam. President Johnson did not actually want to escalate the war. He was told to escalate the war by a secret clique of advisors called the Wise Men. These were 14 senior advisors, 12 of whom were members of the CFR. And if people don't believe that, they can read the book, The Wise Men, who was written by Isaacson and Thomas, who are themselves members of the CFR. The leader of the Wise Men, the man who was most vocal in demanding that Johnson escalate the war, was our old friend Dean Acheson. And who wrote the Tonkin Gulf Resolution? It was his son-in-law, William P. Bundy, Skull and Bones, in CFR. And did you know he wrote the Tonkin Gulf Resolution before the Tonkin Gulf incident took place? That was certainly good foresight. This man is Admiral James Stockdale. Let's discuss what really happened in Tonkin Gulf. Admiral Stockdale, recipient of the Congressional Medal of Honor, was a pilot in the Tonkin Gulf at that time. He was later shot down, spent 7 years in a hellish communist POW camp, returned home, and he wrote this book, In Love and War, in which he described what really happened in Tonkin Gulf. And it just so happens I have a copy right here, so I am going to read from that book. I'm going to pick it up from his return to the aircraft carrier Ticonderoga after 1.5 hours of overflight of the scene of the alleged attack. Quote, wheeling into the ready room I had hurriedly left 3 hours before, I came face to face with about 10 assorted ship's company, air group, and staff intelligence officers, all with sheepish grins on their faces. The mood of the group was informal and mirthful. Obviously, they had some big joke to tell me. What the hell's been going on out there? They laughingly asked. Damned if I know, I said. It's really a flap. The guy in the Maddox air control radio, the Maddox was one of the destroyers, was giving blow-by-blow accounts, turning left, turning right, torpedoes to the right of us, torpedoes to the left of us, boom, boom, boom. I got right down there and shot at whatever they were shooting at. I came around toward the destroyers once, right on the deck, chasing some imaginary PT boat they said was running up behind them, and fired every type of weapon I had, including a Sidewinder. You see any boats? Not a one. No boats, no boat wakes, no ricochets off boats, no boat gunfire, no torpedo wakes, nothing but Black Sea and American firepower. For goodness sake, I must be going crazy. How could all that commotion have been built up out there without something being behind it? Now, the next day, Stockdale was awoken by a young officer. Who are you? I asked. I'm the junior officer of the deck, sir. The captain sent me down to wake you. We just got a message from Washington telling us to prepare to launch strikes against the beach, sir. What's the idea of the strikes? Reprisal, sir. Reprisal for what? Last night's attack on the destroyers, sir. I flipped on my bed lamp, and the young officer left. I felt like I'd been doused with ice water. How do I get in touch with the president? He's going off half-cocked. We were about to launch a war under false pretenses. I felt it was a bad portent that we seemed to be under the control of a mindless Washington bureaucracy, vain enough to pick their own legitimacies regardless of evidence, end quote. Admiral James Stockdale, recipient of the Congressional Medal of Honor.